shot. I made a couple of videos the past week that I haven't posted. Just scatterbrained, can't think, can't focus. I'm just really on edge of triggered. Just triggered. A lot of drama with family this week. My entire life, anywhere I go, school, church, work, anywhere I go, there's always conflict surrounding me. I can be one comment out of 1,000 online, and mine will be the one that gets kicked off. Mine will be the one that 500 people decide to criticize. Family life's the same way. I can do absolutely nothing to everyone, and they'll all hate me. I've told you about the problems with Tina's family. It's been a long, hard road to hoe when it comes to Tina's brother, because she raised him. She was pretty much his mommy when he's grown up. I don't know how old he is now, but he's pretty much a male with female genes. When you're raised by women, you take on those feelings of women. You're more emotional. And then there's the thing about those people who are looking to be offended will always be offended. If you're looking for someone to hurt your feelings, their shoes, their shirt, their choice of coffee will offend you. So forever, there's been strife in between me and Tina's family. And it doesn't matter what I do to try to heal that divide, it's always going to be there. It's like the other week, her brother, somebody stole his guns, stole his black powder rifle, and stole a couple other guns and his crossbow or his bow. I was like, hey, you can use my bow. And the other week I gave him I said, here, use this black powder rifle. I said, I got 3 of them, you use it. Get you a deer with it. I didn't hear him say thank you when I handed it to him. He may have, but I didn't hear it. Doesn't matter. Trying to heal that divide. So, Mason calls me early this morning, 7 o'clock, say, Dad, I got a deer, I shot a doe. I said, well, good job, son. I said, why didn't you take the black powder gun that's here? Because it's black powder season. I thought it was. And then he said something, and he's in a tree, and he's trying to be quiet while his adrenaline's pumping through his body. And I'm like, good job, buddy. Good job. I said, make sure you bring it home. Bring the deer home. If you just got to gut it and bring it home, just fill it full of ice and bring it home, and I'll harvest it. I'll do everything to it. So I assumed he was done talking. I said, I love you. Good job. Bye. No big deal. Nothing else. So I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the picture. I didn't get the picture. And Tina's waiting, so Tina gets up finally, and she calls, gets her brother on the phone. And his brother's like, well, I'm going to take it to the processor. I can hear it on speakerphone. Tina's like, well, I really ain't got the money for a processor. And he's trying to, well, let's take it to the processor. She's like, I don't have the money for it, and Shannon doesn't want to use a processor. He wants to do it himself. So I said something like, it's no big deal. We can do it here. If we got to buy, and Tina's like, well, I want a hamburger, and we don't have the machine. I said, listen, we'll get a meat grinder if that's what we have to do. Well, her brother is on speakerphone and starts to pop his mouth off about me. So Tina, hurry up. Oh, you're on speakerphone. You're on speakerphone. She's like, well, I don't let him talk smack about you. I said, no, that's not true. You don't let him talk smack about me and let me hear it. There's a difference. So he starts running his mouth, wants to start a fight because he's got those feminine feelings. He's in his feels. And she hangs up the phone. So because she hung up the phone on him, and he was bitching about me, he gets mad at me. What? So I'm like, what is going on? What's the deal? Well, I told him I didn't want to use the processor, and she's like, well, let me tell you this. The processor is one of my brother's friends, and he puts each deer with a tag in its own section, and they cut the deer up, and then you get your deer. I said, well, you can tell me that. I said, but I don't believe it. I said, these deer processors, when they get a deer, they're going deer after deer after deer. I said, they're not doing a deer and then cleaning all the deer out of it and making it sanitary again and then starting all over with a new deer. I said, so even if you get your deer you're going to have the meat and the blood and everything else of other deers. And you don't know where those other deer were harvested from. I said, so just say everything is perfect at the processor. That's still $200. I said, what's the point of killing a deer when it costs money to get the license, it costs money to feed them, to bait them, it costs money for the guns and the ammo, so you're already spending money to kill the deer. Now you're going to spend more money to process the deer. I said, that's stupid. We might as well just go to the store, go to the butcher shop, and buy $200 worth of hamburger and stick it in the freezer. Now, deer meat's good. I enjoy deer meat. I truly do. I love deer meat. But why am I going to pay for something we can kill? Deer is already the most expensive thing when you're a hunter. Deer is the most expensive meat you're ever going to eat when you are a hunter because it costs so much money to harvest it. I'm not going to pay somebody else to cover up a deer. And I tried to show Tina this last year when my ex-friend Brad came over, and he had a deer. We harvested it out there in the building. I got the neck, I got the ribs, I got all the stuff that he didn't even want because they consider that the waste. There is so much meat on a deer. I mean, just off a small doe's neck, because it looks like, how can I say it? It looks like a grid of squares, the neck does. All the joint, the ligaments and all in the neck bones and cartilage, it looks like squares all over. But inside every one of those squares is a chunk of meat. So instead of just cutting every little chunk of meat out, you take the deer, you take its neck and you cut the neck into 4 pieces and put it in the crock pot, cook it for 6 hours and all the meat comes out. So you'll get 2 days worth of meat just off the neck. Now, most people don't even harvest the neck. They just throw it out with a carcass. Such a waste, just like the ribs. I saw a guy a couple months ago. He said rib meat is so easy. He said you just sharpen your knife and you go in beside each rib and you go doop, 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 and you just cut out the little rectangles out of the rib meat. Or even easier, like I did this week, I took the ribs, I cut them in half, put them in a crock pot, 6 hours, and all the meat come off. It's not the most tender meat because it's got a lot of tendons in it, but it's still meat. You throw barbecue sauce on a leather shoe, and it's still gonna taste good. It's still good meat. So I'm saying, why? If everything at the processor is perfect and you get everything you want, you're still paying $200. But see, in her brother's mind, it's Shannon thinks I'm stupid. Shannon thinks I'm doing something wrong. Shannon thinks I don't know what I'm doing. That's not it at all. Shannon thinks we ought not spend $200 paying some other man to do man things. I'm a man, I can do man things and not charge myself to do the man things. So now he's all pissed off at me again. Every time I try to and a lot of it's Tina's fault. A lot of it's her fault. Because she wants to get in the middle and moderate. And just like she started to bitch at me because her brother was mad at me. I was like, wait a second. He's mad at me and it's my fault. What did I say? Well, you didn't say anything. I said, well, then why are you bitching at me? Because he got mad at me. It's insanity. I'm like, she said, I'm like, your family's crazy. She said, well, your family is too because they don't talk to you either. I said, listen, it is what it is. I can't change people's minds. I can't change the way they feel. She's like, well, you just talk direct. What? See, you talk direct to people and people don't know how to take it. I said, you mean I speak truth? People don't want to hear truth. Okay, I'll take that. So when people get mad at me, you just say, well, you're just mad at him because he's telling the truth. It's insane. Ladies, I love you. This is one of the major problems in our society is women have ruined young men. There has to be a father figure in the lives of your children, especially your male children, because they don't get the emotional patience that they need. Because men were like, oh, did you get bullied at school? All right, well, you need to get stronger, you need to get tougher, and when the time's right, punch him in the throat and kick him in the nuts. I mean, when I got bullied in school, my dad gave me a pocket knife, said, here you go. Here, take care of yourself, and that's what I did. Carried a pocket knife to school. So, Instead, it's just like when they're little. When a kid falls on the ground and they look at you like, oh my God, somebody tell me I should be hurting the women. Go, oh honey, it's okay. It's okay, don't cry. Well, that's the wrong thing to do. Suck it up, buttercup, get up. The kid doesn't know he's hurt until you say, oh, mommy's little baby's hurt. So that's where I'm dealing in this situation. Now the same situation came up with my daughter's boyfriend, the father of my grandson. Raised by women. No man in his life, so he has no emotional maturity. Everything's an insult. Everything's somebody trying to be mean to him. I'm not even going to go into that story. That's going to take a whole 20-minute video to do that one. I made another video that's 40 minutes long because I just can't. It's so frustrating. Men, you got to get out of your feels. We're men. Get over it. Don't change yourself because how somebody else feels. I can't control if you love me or hate me. All I can do is be me and be honest. Now, I've tried over the years to tiptoe around and, hey, did I do? And I do. Every time somebody's mad at me, I'll go and I'll talk to Tina. And I was like, what did I do wrong? This is what happened. You talk to them and see what that happened and tell me what I did wrong. Am I in the wrong here? I always second guess, am I in the wrong here? But I'm always respectful of somebody until there's so much smoke blowed up my ass that I have to let it go. It's like these young cops. That's why they're out of control. They're a bunch of pussies, and if you don't respect their authority and kiss their freaking boots, no, I'm gonna put you in jail for resisting. How dare you talk? You're not allowed to talk. That's why we're doomed. When we got little men with badges and costumes and guns with the authority to destroy your life, and they're not put in check, that's a problem. Because people like me, who don't break the law, get arrested. And a life can be ruined because some thug cop don't like it when somebody asks a question when he's giving orders. Sorry. And this is what I don't understand about our Supreme Court. They have ruled our rights away. The Pennsylvania v. Mims case that says that cops, if cops fear a threat from you, they can pull you out of the car. But they must have a reasonable threat. Well, any cop's gonna say, well, I fear for my life, so you gotta get out. Oh, you ain't got no clothes on and there's nothing in your car at all but one bucket you're sitting on and I can't see nothing else in there. I'm scared. Get out. That's a case that should be overruled. Just like Chili DeCastro says. Terry versus Ohio. All cops gotta suspect you of doing something. No, he has to articulate that crime. And herein the problem with using our rights. In California, they've had a law that a law enforcement officer has to tell you what he suspects you of doing. He pulls you over, he has to tell you you were going 53 miles an hour in 45. They have to tell you. But nowhere else in the country do they have to. And that's what's wrong with the country. How can I use my rights efficiently and correctly if I don't know what I'm being charged with? If you're not telling me the reason you're pulling me over, how can I use my rights correctly that protects me? That's why you always use the right to remain silent. You always shut up. But that comes at a cost because I'm just not going to bow down when you say, there's no tag on your car. Well, I know there's a tag on my car, so it tells me that you're pulling me over unlawfully. So if you're pulling me over unlawfully, I have to use my rights to protect and defend myself. And then they say, well, you ought not fight your case on the side of the road. Well, you ought to be a little smarter when you come to me pulling me over for a non-victimless crime or non-victim crime. It's insanity. Anyway, I'm getting lightheaded. I can't breathe. Have a good day.